out the most dangerous lie that they have told is that I somehow boasted about the number of people that I killed in Afghanistan.
So, despite barely making it through Harry's 3 one-on-one interviews, I still decided to tune into the Stephen Colbert Show. And what a sad sight that was.
Oh, stop. Stephen, not needed, but thank you, I appreciate it.
What are you talking about? This isn't for you. What? Get out of the way, he's coming.
I'm back. Where's my fanfare?
Meghan's own little Frankenstein, made in her image. Looks like the Harry of old who claimed to get PTSD at the mere sound of camera flashes.
Every single time I see a camera, every single time I hear a click, every single time I see a flash, it takes me straight back.
Is yet another figment of our collective imagination.
Harry, what do you think about destroying the royal family?
Much like the racism allegations on the Oprah interview.
You accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even,
The British press said that.
Smells a lot like gaslighting. I'm not going to go through in great detail what he said in the Stephen Colbert interview because it is for the most part, again, just very repetitive and very rehearsed. But I will focus on 2 very important points that come up in that interview. The first one being the Taliban kill count. Now, if you haven't been sleeping under a rock this past week, you would know that there has been quite an uproar over the fact that Harry listed in a book that has been published worldwide in 15, 16 different languages, the exact number of people he allegedly killed during his time serving in the British Army. Now, this is a fact. This isn't something the British press made up. It's not some kind of a deceptive headline. Well, he's now blaming the British press for the danger that he has surely put not only himself and his family in with that comment, but his extended family and the entire British nation, including members of the British Armed Forces who are still currently serving. Rather than maybe keep quiet about it, hang his head in shame, or dare I say apologize? No, I mean, come on. We're already apparently living in a figment of our imagination, so let's not push it. But what does he choose to do instead? Blame the British press for that too. Just the British press, by the way, not the global press, because this has become a worldwide topic, a worldwide headline. I mean, it has gotten to the point where the Taliban themselves have condemned Prince Harry's comments, have called it a war crime, and the extremists have actually started calling for retribution, to put it mildly. Is he gonna blame the British press for comparing human beings to chess pieces? I don't want to get into the specifics of a soldier's mindset and how we are trained, to handle weapons and to potentially someday have to use that weapon against another human being. And some people in the military choose to engage in some kind of mind games in their own heads to make the job easier if it ever comes to that. So he wouldn't be the first soldier to remove himself, to detach in order to carry out a lawful order. Because what you have to imagine is when Harry is in an Apache helicopter, he is ordered to shoot. It's an order he receives. But that doesn't mean you get to sit there and announce to the world, put it out there for the whole world to read, that you no longer see enemy combatants as actual humans and you see them as inanimate objects instead. That's, again, something you do not say, just like the kill count. What you do as a soldier to cope with your job and with the realities of war should be kept to yourself. Now, clearly from his comments, he's been keeping track of the news surrounding this headline. So it seems to me that he's deliberately left out that those who are condemning him publicly are people like me who have served. But more so than that, high-ranking military officers who have served for longer than Harry's been alive and who probably have a kill count that dwarfs Harry's, if it's even to be taken seriously.
In Harry's defence as well, he didn't say that he was bragging in the book. He said he said his number. Is that something that people would do? Would people say their number?
No, there's no scoring like that. There's no notching. It's just bad behaviour.
Whether he was boasting or not, Harry can disagree with that. That's fine, because he could be right. He may not have been boasting. He may have just been putting it there as a matter of fact. That doesn't make it any less insensitive and careless and distasteful. And that's what he's failing to grasp. He's chosen to put all the blame on the British press for publicizing something he has said. He keeps saying it's taken out of context.
It wasn't like, here's just one line. They had the whole section, they ripped it away and just said, here it is, he's boasting on this.
Well, here it is, not only in context, but in his own words.
I could always say precisely how many enemy combatants I'd killed, and I felt it vital never to shy away from that number. Among the many things I learned in the army, accountability was near the top of the list. So, my number? 25. While in the heat and fog of combat, I didn't think of those 25 as people. They were chess pieces removed from the board.
Doesn't make it any less insensitive or distasteful to me. But there he goes, distancing himself, refusing to take any accountability, his new favorite word, for his mistakes.
Makes you a increased target, those around you that you love.
And that is a choice they've made.
So that should anything untoward happen, God forbid, he can put his hand up and say, this was all down to the British press. I told you this would happen. And if it wasn't for the purpose of boasting, then why put it in there at all? This is what he has to say about that.
And my whole goal and my attempt with sharing that detail is to reduce the number of suicides.
Again, I have the, I suppose, fortune of having first-hand experience of a military environment. We are encouraged to talk to counselors about these things. Or even if you're religious, in the army in Australia, we call them padres, basically priests. That's what they're there for. So it's not like we're still in, I don't know what century he's trapped in. He and Meghan just seem to be trapped in this really archaic medieval time frame in their minds. But the army and the military in general, although I can only speak for the army, has made drastic improvements when it comes to mental health and encouraging personnel to seek help, to talk to the appropriate person. Harry's not doing anything groundbreaking at this point. And I highly doubt that soldiers need Prince Harry, of all people, to publicize his kill count to make them feel better about themselves. And does Stephen Colbert challenge him on that? Does he try to ask him, well, what do you mean help prevent suicide? In what way? Can you elaborate? No, of course not. He's just continuing with this narrative that he and his wife have been peddling the past 3 years, which is, all we want to do is serve. That's all we want to do. We just want to serve the people. We want to live a life of service.
The distorted narrative is that we wanted to leave to go and, make money. We were dedicated to a life of service.
So ditching the IRA Victims Memorial back in 2019 to take your wife to the Lion King premiere instead, where you essentially groveled to the CEO of Disney to give your wife a job. Is that what you call a life of service? Having a camera crew follow you while you go on pseudo-royal tours pretending to be humanitarians. I mean, we were all right about that, by the way. We knew that there was a camera crew following them throughout these New York tours where they visited Harlem and other areas that were, struck down with poverty and hardship. We all knew that wasn't out of the kindness of their own hearts. That was just part of the multi-million-dollar Netflix gig. Is that what you call a life of service, Harry? Or how about trashing your own flesh and blood, both of you, in interviews and book deals and podcasts and the Netflix docuseries as well, of course, let's not forget that, depriving a father of his daughter and his grandchildren, depriving a mother, Samantha Markle, of her daughter. Is that what you call a life of service? And what about the video diaries? If you were truly fleeing for your lives, why did you end up filming a video diary of sorts from as early as, I would say, December 2019 from the looks of it in the Netflix docuseries in Canada, if you had every intention of living a life of service and seeing how things played out in the 12-month review period? How did all that footage miraculously show up in a Netflix docuseries if you had no intention of commercializing yourselves and your titles against everything the monarchy stands for? And if it was up to them, they would have commercialized more than just themselves. I mean, check out Tom Bauer's book, Revenge, if you haven't already. He presented a list of all their demands, and that included merching pens. Sussex Royal on a pen. I still can't get over that one. I mean, talk about cheap. To be honest, I still believe that once upon a time, Harry truly wanted to just get married and be a part of the royal family and continue to serve, as he likes to say. After all, you don't serve for 10 years in the army if you don't genuinely want to serve. He had a 3-year minimum service period. So we have minimums when we sign up. It depends on what stream you go for. Most people have 3. If the army invests in your education, then it could be 6 to 9, but we all have a minimum. And then you choose to voluntarily extend your contract, essentially, and your service period once that minimum period is over. So I'm not denying once upon a time he wanted to serve in some capacity. And this is reflected in the engagement interview.
I don't know if it's something new. I think it's, for me, it's an added member of the family. It's another team player as part of the bigger team. And for all of us, all we want to do is be able to carry out the right engagements, carry out our work.
And I've played this clip before because look at her face when he says that. She is just not having it. Team player? Me? That face says it all. What Harry didn't see at the time is that Meghan didn't share his aspirations. She never wanted to be part of anyone's team. All she wanted to be a part of was her own delusions of grandeur, which she very quickly is learning, I am sure, because it's playing out in front of the whole world, are nothing but that. Mere delusions. Crumbling castles of sand, when she could have just remained in the royal family where they have real castles. I think Harry owes Tom Bauer an apology because not only was he right about the Sussexes wanting to commercialize themselves, which, he wasn't the only one who was right about it, but he put it in pen and paper. It was clear as day for anyone who bothered paying attention. But he was also right about point 2 that I want to make today.
I was obsessed. I was specifically looking for stories about my wife so that I could try to fix it. Now, for me, I've weaned myself off that because I was slightly addicted to it.
This was something that Tom Bauer put down in his book, and that was the first I'd ever heard of it. But here we have Harry confirming Tom Bauer and thereby bolstering his credibility. Tom should write Harry a thank you note. Or maybe he can engage Meghan's services so she can do it in that fancy calligraphy. I'm gonna read the book very soon and I will be making a video covering it. It's funny because Harry says this book is not about the prince I was born, but the man I've become. But it looks like this book is not about the prince he was born, but the D-list grifter he has become.
Prince Harry will be here all to talk about his new memoir, Spare, also available in audiobook and commemorative plate. Well, it's heartbreaking. I mean, to be rejected by his older brother at school, even though that magic hat sorted them into the same house.